Hey, everybody. Musa the Scribe, sending all light, love, and healing energy to the celestial beings of the cosmos. Let's have some fun. I've been looking forward to dropping this series of videos. It'll be a little bit lengthier than the usual because I have a lot to talk about, but I'll try to, kick all the information in the most orderly way I can. If you hear snoring in the background, Lala is over here knocked out next to me. He is gone. But yeah, so get comfy, buckle up, let's talk. All right, so as I said in the overview, finding your spirit animal, your spirit guide, it starts off from locating your sanctuary, right? And when I was a kid, I had two main locations within my sanctuary that I would constantly visit while lucid dreaming or just dreaming, and I would end up there, okay? So one, it's like a half sphere shaped hill of super green grass with a gigantic copper colored tower in the middle of it with a light at the top. So sometimes I would have dreams. I could be running through a city, things going on, and I'd run into an apartment and open a closet door, and the closet door would lead me to this green grass hill with the tower in the middle. The door would close behind me and then it would be gone, and this place, the green grass hill, the large copper tower, and it was just surrounded by like pure darkness. I've also arrived there from above, floating down, seeing the top of the tower, and then landing down either on the top or onto this green grass hill. And mind you, at the time, everything around it was just pure black, besides the hill and the tower. The second location was a hot spring bathhouse, feudal era looking, with the large sliding, how they had those white screen doors, feudal era Kyoto style, and I would slide that door open and I would be in the bathhouse that led to the hot spring. And that was another place I could access at any time. I could be walking through like a neighborhood or something or anywhere, and I'd be like, okay, you know what? I want to go to the bathhouse. And it would just appear there on the street in between whatever other buildings were there. If I wanted it to be there, it would be there. And I can enter there and, commence. So those were the two locations I've always been most comfortable with when lucid dreaming and traveling on the astral plane throughout my life. While lucid dreaming and while randomly dreaming, I've, sat on this tower and just let my feet kick under me, just looked around into the dark, looked up above at the light at the top of the tower. And I never really, at the time, I was never aware enough to be like, okay, let me explore this place or anything like that. I just was so comfortable with these two locations once I was there. I'd take a seat, chill, walk around maybe a little bit, but that was really it. There was like no real deep exploration going on. So the other night, I've been doing different meditations every night or so, for the past few weeks. And shout out to my subscriber. I gotta check my comments and see how to pronounce your name, but I will definitely shout you out in the next video. She led me to a large amount of Lyran information, and that led to a lot of deep meditations that led to things I would have never been able to imagine, So a few nights ago, I had ended up doing like a guided Lyran meditation, where I met a being who, at the end of this meditation, he ended up giving me gifts. One was the roar, which I've yet to, practice, use, or anything astrally or physically. It's not time for that yet. But the other thing, at the time, I didn't know exactly what it was. It was like he handed me a handful of little bones and skulls and of some type of itty bitty being for real, something real small, like they were almost coin size, but like I could tell like they were little, they were skulls and bones and shit. So I'm like, okay, I come out of meditation, and this is right before I laid down to rest, and I'm like, all right, what the fuck is this? Like, I couldn't put two and two together at the time. So, I stored that in my subconscious, made sure I remembered everything in high detail, and I never forgot about it. And then the other night, I was drawn to, okay, I need to find my Mishipeshu, which is the underwater panther, my spirit animal, also called is the cat dragon. Okay, so I'm like, all right, these things are starting to connect all this feline stuff, certain places, time periods, and things like that are connecting spiritually and through actual research. So let me get a little deeper into this. So I'm doing a guided meditation. I have it pulled up here. I'll probably put the link in the description. Hypnosis for meeting your spirit guide. I like the guided meditations because they help program your subconscious, but not to an extent to where they're giving you what you should be seeing. You feel me? It's a very loose guided meditation, and everything comes from your subconscious in coalition with your main conscious. So I'm doing the guided meditation and everything, and it leads me to the green grass hill and the copper tower, and I'm like, cool, I know where I'm at, this is dope. But now I'm not fully asleep, but I'm not fully awake anymore. I'm extremely lucid at the moment, and I'm like, okay, I'm in my sanctuary, it's time to venture off a little bit and find where my spirit animal is. So I told y'all the green grass hill, very tall copper tower with the light at the top. For the first time in my whole life, I'm like, okay, I need to explore this dark around it. And then it ended up not even being straight darkness like I've been assuming this whole time of my life. It was actually extremely dense woods and forests with like I'm seeing eyes from like small monkeys up in trees. I'm seeing what we call like fireflies going through the brush and things. I saw a white rhino behind the tree up in here. And this shit, it was fun. I gotta say that it's a fun experience, and because you never know until you try it. So I was just so shocked and ecstatic of what I was seeing, and everything was so the detail was extreme. So I was like, okay, I'm on to something here. So I'm walking through the woods and everything, and I come to an opening that looked like the hot springs I was speaking of earlier that's connected to the bathhouse. And there was a waterfall, between the brush of the trees. There was a small waterfall with the hot spring pond where I could see steam coming from certain sections of the water, and then still water. And then here comes the Mishipeshu up out the water, head first and everything. Cat-like features with what would we call that? How fish have not the gills, but the fins, horns, and it's coming up out of there. And I'm like, yo, this is awesome. Like the detail, it had scales that shifted from like a red and blue color of the scales as it was moving, and the light shining off of it and the water and everything. I'm like, yo, this is great. So as you have to stay lucid but still follow the guide for something like this, or at least I had to for the first time, just so I knew what I was doing. Once you do it the first time, you got it after that. But so I'm following the guide and staying lucid in my sanctuary at the same time. And over time, I get comfortable with the Mishipeshu. I start to ask it questions, and what's weird, it spoke to me in three different ways. One was nonverbal, how it was communicating with me. Like, I could call that, I guess, telepathic. Yeah, I'm comfortable enough to say that that was a telepathic communication. Then one voice, when it spoke, it sounded like Mufasa from the Lion King. And then in another instance, it sounded like Nala from the damn Lion King. So I'm like, okay, this is my subconscious mind trying to make sense of the communication right here, right now, or whatever. So I understand. And, by the end of this introduction, it was like meeting a friend you haven't seen in forever, but like your best friend you haven't seen in 10, 15, 20 years or something like that. And this is where you begin to, start asking your questions. Mind you, your spirit animal knows everything about you. But still, in that instant, you have questions and things that you want to ask. So I'm asking them questions, asking the being questions, because I don't want to call it a him or a her. I just, I was asking the being questions, and I got the name, and Payetta ended up being the being's name, the Mishipeshu's name, Payetta. I speak basic Japanese. I speak fluent French. As y'all know, I speak English and bad English, you know. And I didn't find out until the next day when I started researching the name that the name is Latin for pity or compassion. And that relates to what I was talking about with the polarity integration program in previous videos. That this lifetime is about integrating the higher and lower chakras and showing compassion to other beings of the cosmos. So I was like, oh, that's fire for real. So I ended up taking a walk with the Mishipeshu from the deep wooded area in the hot spring over to the tower. And we went up the tower together, and I'm climbing up the side of the tower because it's like a copper metal tower, with the ladder that goes all the way down the side. So I'm climbing, and the Mishipeshu's jumping, from the side, from like left to right in a zigzag, getting it, pulling itself up and everything. And I'm like, yo, this thing is strong, bro. So we get about a little more than halfway up to the tower, and I'm still asking questions and just chilling, taking everything in. And me, I'm just sitting on the edge, with my little feet kicking and dangling or whatever. And this Mishipeshu is huge, just sitting next to me, perched up and everything next to me, just checking out stuff, checking me out, talking back and forth. It was a dope experience. And so then I was like, okay, I kept getting a feeling like, yeah, we should go to the top of the tower together, like to where that light is. Cause now I'm curious about the light, and I'm like, you probably have answers for me. So let's go ahead up here and check this out. So we make our way up to the top of the tower, where the light is, and I've been assuming all these years it was like a light, like a light tower for boats or some shit. You feel me, like with a spotlight or something like that, and it wasn't. There's a big ass crystal up there, big red crystal that's resonating like a white light from it up into the sky. So I'm talking to the Mishipeshu back and forth about it, and it activated something with myself to where I started emitting like a purple light, and I reached out onto the big red crystal emitting the white light, and this shit beamed. The whole beam went from being white to purple and hit the sky and changed the whole sky and made it look like it was like a purple, like a indigo water in the sky. And it had like dolphins and shit beginning, like celestial dolphins and shit, to begin swimming within the sky like it was the ocean. This shit was nuts. Like, bro, there's no drug in the world that can give you visuals like that the same way this meditation did. Like, this shit was nuts. I might even like have to paint it out or something to help illustrate what I'm trying to explain. It was so crazy. And then at this point, I'm like, I feel different. I'm looking at me, and I have like the silhouette in this indigo around me, like the Mishipeshu. And I'm like, okay, I know what's up. I want to try some of this power for real. So as I said before, he does the zigzag thing to get up this thing. But this time he just jumped off, just hopped off, hit the ground, and was down there looking up. So I'm like, all right, bet. I zigzagged my ass, jumping from side to side, grabbing, swinging, got back down to the grass or whatever. And I was like, yo, that's mad cool. But before I even did that, before the purple hue and everything started, I had gave him those skulls that I told was telling y'all about, and I didn't know what the fuck the skulls were or anything. I just knew they were some little itty bitty baby looking monster skulls to me for real. Come to find out, they were like, I guess fairy or pixie if they're the same breed. That's what those were. And the Mishi Peshu wore them in his mane around his neck as like a necklace. So that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, all right. So that's why I was giving those. Those are for you. That's part of what you do. You wear them around your neck, in your mane for real for some reason. And then I'm like, maybe those weren't fireflies I was seeing around the hot springs. Those might have been fairies and pixies. Mind y'all, I don't know shit about no damn fairies and pixies. You feel me? I know about certain deities and beings and stuff, but that's never been like a thing with me, like fairies and pixies and shit like that. Like, so that was super random for me. I was like, okay, but I guess they're part of your habitat and where you stay, so you deal with them all the time, and you like their bones as jewelry. That's dope. That's mad dope. So, wrapping up with this location, we get down. I end up saying my goodbyes and everything. Come up out of meditation and remembered everything extremely vividly, remembered the name, researched the name the next day, and it was at Paeta, like I was saying, and that translates in Latin to pity or compassion. And I was like, that experience was super dope. I have to share it with the community because now I know what needs to be done for you to make that connection with your spirit animal. And when I say it's like talking to your best friend that you ain't talked to in years, that's literally what it is. Like, it was an amazing experience. And I'll call this chapter the foundation of meeting your spirit animal and, being in your sanctuary. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope I explained it as well as I could to give you a great visual. I'll be back in a few with the next video, but this is the second video of this series. So sending all light, love, and healing energy to the celestial beings of the cosmos. Mad love.